Right.
Especially if you gather.
But I wanted to see that because you have no idea. I know.
Records, yeah.
But
Basic
I just
records.
didn't have the person to put on it, you know?
So this isn't the guy that I met.
No, you never met him.
So did you know that I thought it was David?
I was thinking about calling them when I was up there. You know, my ship had an opening. So I just did a bit of and then this young artist had to do data.
Conversation, nothing outside.
This is beautiful.
There's delay, so it's not do that.
So, you know, so my kids in the called the maker room all and they had using it before I was like, how'd you do that?
Let's do it.
It's fantastic.
You get the hangout going? Sort of?
Switch. Oh, showing me.
You're live, so. Okay.
Cool, so now if we go full screen on that. But,
Screen share.
Yeah, you know the young use
Oh,
of
I know.
that.
We love
still
it 'cause
haven't
it's
figured
free,
out.
but it's a little, you know, it's value is kind of free.
And booking the room half an hour before is not enough.
Oh.
Every time, yeah. There is no collaboration from the side of the institution, probably. Ha!
yes.
Try to move the slide. Oh.
It's not going to work sitting down.
Okay, just see if it switches.
Soundtrack today.
On you.
And then I'm going to stop broadcasting.
No. It's
No.
on. Don't do that. Just, I'm gonna cut the thing when it's done.
Oh,
it's
okay.
okay. People are gonna connect to this link.
Cool.
We'll be back.
Okay.
Yes, it's switch.
Okay.
Okay, thank you. So whatever you say now is live, so don't say anything bad.
I will not.
These doors open. Yeah, you have to push the little button.
Oh, thank you.
The transcription meeting? Transcription center meeting?
No.
No.
No? Oh,
Transcription center.
is it over there then?
I don't know.
I thought it was
You don't want
No, oh, this isn't the right room.
it. Kind of RSVPs do you get?
13. I hope this is the video conference room.
The what?
It's the video conference room. Your CIO video conference room.
Yes, it is.
Yeah, it's a conference room. So
There are
There's two.
different
There's another
conference
one over
rooms.
there.
Yeah.
I've never met in that one. You have to go back in there. So this is usually where
Did you guys, your
call the number.
You've never booked any other room, though, right?
You can easily put one or the other.
No, it's,
4001.
yeah, it's this one. It's gotta be. Who'd you talk to?
I don't know the address.
Oh, that's good.
It's never like one single person you filter, so it's just an anonymous individual pick up. Usage already load the link, so it should be free. I'm not sure if you can share.
Oh.
That's great
That's
though.
just really.
I'm good, I'll take a look.
I don't know. That's a great
Does he do
post.
a check though? Does.
He does.
Mhm.
Yeah, I don't know. You can look at it and see if it's
I will.
interesting, but you know what interviews.
Yeah, I don't know it. That's fantastic.
The power of here and exhibition design.
Yeah. That's fantastic.
Yeah. Yeah, it's not your typical like.
I don't know, how are you?
Hi, so there you.
See you again.
How are you doing?
You get time to stop by the house.
I was there this morning, I saw that, yeah, it's
The first day
spectacular.
of the 4-month process, we,
Something happened.
after years of planning,
Under the rug.
the revelation of the Sicilian steel is,
You have a Twitter account
Yeah.
somewhere?
the revelation.
Revelation.
I'm tweeting about the broadcast.
There's
Oh,
been
just do
a,
at Stqry.
was a
At
seal
STQry.
to the carpet form.
663, I think.
Yeah.
I saw Rick
Well,
Stan.
it was put in place in 48,
Uh-huh.
the anniversary of the institution, but it's been cut by carpet since 64.
Oh my God. Well preserved.
Actually, yes.
Yeah.
Great preservation.
That's great.
Yeah, you do.
Yeah, it was great. I watched a little kid be in awe of that and
Yeah.
just taking pictures
Yeah.
like, wow, they uncovered it.
Yeah. Yeah, so we're gonna try and do the entire hall.
Are you really?
Yeah. The only,
Rick said, I talked to Rick Stan briefly, he said there's a lot of patching.
there's, so that's, we don't know how much. That's the
Yeah.
thing. It's certainly no more than 20%. We're thinking we can withstand it if we monitor set can withstand it, so it's 10% or less.
Yeah.
The 6,000 square feet has pitching in it. So,
Yeah, it's exciting. That'd be great to take a rug off.
yeah, the SP14 package of everything is at 80%.
Great.
90% next week, it goes out to bid.
Great.
So, we start painting the hall.
What colors is
We're painting the capitals, the printing capitals, the columns, the archways, the ceiling, and walls. Basically shades of white.
Yeah.
So we're gonna lift the lumens in the room.
Yeah. Yeah.
While we're up there on the scaffolding, we're gonna redirect all the refocus.
Still on?
Yeah.
So,
Should be, yeah.
that starts August 18th.
Fantastic.
Yeah, this is seriously
Are you
cool.
gonna do
Did you do this?
Yeah.
Okay.
We are doing it.
I'm so glad. Love that seemed like a winner. That's
Yeah.
good. Yeah.
Who are you working with?
EPI, but
The-
yeah. Of course, as happens in the history, Chris Lydell was at left field and says, "Hey, how about Van Dam match?" So we're dealing with BPI, but now Van Dam in New York, they do 40 maps. At least they have an app. He's actually a photographer. That's his friend. The guy who owns Stefan and you see these Van Dam apps all over, like these Lambda maps. So that was a Sicilian app at Van Dam store. So that's how Purge began. They produce an app for us, and now they use their 4D version of that in the hall. Maybe a little not on the table.
Oh, okay, yeah, you're trying to figure it out.
Yeah,
Yeah, we're doing a map-based experience using a multi-touch table.
So is who do you use?
Well, we're not. You mean for delivery for production? That's up to it.
for production.
We're at it.
Who does it?
Okay, so it's
What?
Who's it?
IDEA, multi-taction, and we're double booked.
Yeah,
I just checked the conference room schedule, it
right,
says
but
it's us.
they did it through, but they
I have
also did
it.
it through Keep Fast.
You have your
Sorry. They're expensive.
Oh, yeah.
I just want an hour.
Yeah, some of it
There you
is.
go. They're
I
right.
have some
You can get guys Billy who's looking for work. So it's just employers. I'll send you an information. But also BPI is there for a number of
You made your hire.
They double booked their room.
Is anybody not
It's okay, they have it. They're going upstairs.
I figured it was good. Congratulations.
Starts Monday.
Starts Monday.
Yeah.
We'll see.
Do you have a card?
Huh?
Do you have a card?
Yes, yeah. Is that what it said? I was
It says thank you.
I said
Thank
thank you,
you.
but I figured. Yeah, okay.
I think there's.
But you never know.
There's a job out there posted, there's an IT, hired an IT, basically, it's a developer. Hiring a developer, so you see all the IT stuff.
That's so smart. Oh, that's
So that's out there now. So it's just next, you know what?
I know. It's hard to know. I don't know. That's like one of those key positions. Yes. Yeah. That often
I know, right? I have 5 folks who have been on that committee. Okay, and.
I'm not trying to
That
lie,
Yeah, that's
but I am.
I'm not offended. It's fine.
Because every aspect.
Shall we start?
We don't have to move, right?
It's fine.
You fended off the.
Yeah, I
Good
said
job,
it away.
You're hired.
Okay. How are you?
What do you want me to talk
I don't know.
about?
I never did
Hey
that.
everybody, welcome to Thoughtful Thursday. We're going to be doing a lot of thinking with Chris Smith here, who's visiting from Stqry. They have a really interesting solution, a mobile solution that I think we're going to really be interested to hear from. So, Chris, take it away.
Thank you so much, everyone, for coming. To just start, I'll just give you guys a quick overview of Stqry, and then get into some of the fun little aspects that we've been up to over the last 12 months. And I want to try to keep this really informal, so please just interrupt me at any time and shout out any.
Music is doing that.
Yeah, I've got enough distraction. So yeah, shout out any questions or comments or anything that you guys are doing that you'd like to share as well. So Stqry was started only 24 months ago, actually, this month. We started in June 2012, and I actually founded the company in New Zealand. I was out there for university, and the idea came to me then. The first aspect of Stqry is we wanted to solve a fundamental problem of trying to market mobile apps and museums in a community that sometimes struggles to or gets overwhelmed by other activities in the area. And the other thing we wanted to solve was creating interpretive solutions for cultural organizations at an affordable cost, at an affordable price. So in New Zealand, technology is so expensive. It found it's expensive here for museums as well, but literally no museums in New Zealand at the time were able to take advantage of some of the incredible mobile or technological interpretation platforms. And so we partnered with a couple museums out there to try to create a platform that was affordable yet powerful for them to engage their visitors, as well as a tool to market their platforms and their venues. So that, I guess, formed into what Stqry is today. It is a single mobile app that basically is like the Yelp for art and culture in a community that we work in. So you open up the app and you'll see all of the amazing cultural institutions in the region. And you can click on one, you can see it on a map, you can learn about it, get information like ticket prices, open hours, and various things like that. And then once you actually arrive at the venue, you can use the app to engage on a granular level with the exhibitions and the collections. So like a traditional mobile experience at a museum. We have partnered with many types of cultural organizations, zoos, aquariums, lots of government art, heritage, parks. We do a lot of airport art, so we've started working with quite a few airports across the US to showcase their art, and of course museums. So currently we're working with over 300 museums around the world, and we've recently have won a bunch of awards overseas and here. And every month we receive thousands and thousands of users on the app. And so what this means for museums that are participating in this cultural ecosystem, we like to call it, means great exposure. So for example, in Seattle, if someone visits the Seattle Art Museum and downloads the app while they're there, once they leave the museum, they're then prompted to explore the other amazing cultural organizations in the community. And they can get walking or driving directions right to another place and continue exploring in one seamless journey without having to download 20 different apps or switch between different platforms to discover and engage.
You said thousands and thousands join monthly?
Join monthly.
Or user base?
So like last month we had 200,000 users on Stqry. So what I'm going to talk about today is over the first year of Stqry, we really focused on traditional methods. So we did audio guides, tours, people could walk up to an object, scan a QR code, or punch in a number and get information about it. So the first year was very traditional, which allowed us to, I guess, enter the market in a comfort zone area. And over the last 12 months, we've really started trying to push the boundaries and started to innovate and create. And so what I'm going to present and talk on today is 3 new aspects that we have really shifted all of our focus to. The first one is iBeacons and push notifications. The second is mapping, navigation, wayfinding. And the third is improving accessibility, so improving the user experience for everyone.
When you say iBeacons, does it have to be iBeacons, or can it be a generic
Any beacon.
Bluetooth?
Any BLE. Any BLE.
It's probably calling for the meeting.
Hi, they have shifted to another room.
Archives. So
Archives.
Yeah, so Jan Camp? In Van Camp?
And Van Camp,
Probably.
you there?
Well done.
And so I guess while working through these various aspects, we ask ourselves, you know, what is the main objective that we're trying to do and develop for? Our current team right now, we have 9 full-time developers and a whole suite of contract developers, all dedicated to these various aspects of the new platform. And so every day we sit down and really talk about providing new methods for creative flexibility. And by creative flexibility, I mean we want to create a platform where you as an organization as well as a visitor are not constrained to a box model. So you're not conformed as an institution to say, okay, I've got to create stop 1, stop 2, stop 3, and you as a visitor don't have to follow a sequence path. You can get creative in the way you want to tell your stories, and as a visitor you can get creative in how you want to move through the venue and interact with collections. The other aspect that we really try to focus on is seamless low-touch interaction. So the ability for a user or a visitor to be able to explore without having to punch in a number or scan a QR code or overcome certain barriers if you have low vision or if you're in a wheelchair, being able to very easily engage in a really rich environment seamlessly. And again, maximizing accessibility, same part of seamless engagement, making it accessible to everyone, no matter your language, no matter your particular disabilities. And of course, while through this whole process, one of our biggest things that we want to provide to institutions is the ability for organizations to start getting answers to their real questions. So we're trying to create a platform that no matter what questions you have, you can find the answer with Stqry. And it's a big statement, but it's really something that we have started to really try to focus on and deliver. So we've been working with our museums to gather what those type of questions are. You know, traditionally a lot of people track visitor numbers or total revenue, but in reality, total visitor numbers doesn't tell you more than how many people are walking through your door. It doesn't tell you how many of those people have re-engaged with your venue, or how are they interacting with your collections outside of the museum. How are they continuing their journey once they have left? How has your collection impacted them? Is there educational value? These are very difficult questions to ask, and we're trying to create a platform that actually allows you to continue your experience with visitors while they're on your site and while they leave or before they even visit. So, you know, very specific things like activity, actions, demographics, movements, purchases, dwell time, and so forth. So, iBeacons, or BLE technology, has been a huge introduction in technology recently. I'm sure a lot of you guys have been following the trends that are going on. Apple really heavily released this integration into their platform about 8 months ago. It's been really, really heavily focused on. And you're now seeing it pop up everywhere, especially in the retail world. But there are some extreme, I guess, limitations to what iBeacons can do. And I guess a misunderstanding of how good these actually are. So what they basically do is they send out a pulse signal. And so you can change how often you want them to send signals. By default, they're usually around 200 milliseconds, so 5 times a second. And they're basically just sending out a signal that your device picks up. And with your device, you receive a power signal strength. So it says basically you are receiving the strength at -50 strength or at 0 strength or at 100 strength. It gives you a power strength value. And so what you can do with that value is basically say, are you close to the beacon, or are you kind of near the beacon, or are you really far away from the beacon? So beacons really only allow you to do guesswork proximity notification. So the default out-of-the-box push notifications basically allow you to send a push notification to someone when they are near a beacon or when they are far away from a beacon. So that's kind of a limitation that isn't really stressed enough about where beacons actually are in terms of technology. The other big limitation with them is that they're very erratic. So if you take a beacon and you set it down, and then you take your phone and set it down, and you just have it show what the power signal is, that power signal will consistently change. So it'll go -50, -45, -43, -60, and sometimes it has really crazy spikes. So it's very inconsistent because it's like even other waves can get in the way. It's just a very iffy product to do what a lot of people thought right away was, oh, we can do triangulation with beacons. We can put 3 of them in a room and then use them similar to how GPS does, and we can locate someone's exact position in the room because we can find the medians and the middle point. But the problem with that is because they're so erratic, literally if someone walks in between you and the beacon, it'll spike from 1 number to like plus 100. So if you try to write any triangulation scripts, you'll see yourself bouncing all over the room. So for that fact, the only real applications that we have seen to date with iBeacons, especially in retail, is basically like, oh, we know someone has walked into the store. So we can give them a message that says, welcome to the store. But beyond that, it's been very difficult for anyone to do granular level interactions with iBeacons.
What kind of radius are you getting? It's somewhat reliable.
So the only reliable thing you can get with these is about 5 centimeters. Anything beyond that is purely only proximity. So even Apple themselves, what they have created is a 3-step proximity. So it's near, close, or far.
Yeah.
And so there's no distance value attached to that. So it's just you're near, or like, and this is near, 5 centimeters, or you're close, or you're 75 meters away, because they can pulse up to 75 feet.
Yeah. So your middle ground, I mean, there's some accuracy in that, right? I mean, someone walks into that zone.
Yeah, and more you manually test that, right? So you would install a beacon, and then you would walk it and go, okay, here's the near range, and usually when I'm around this area, it's near. So I know if I want to trigger right around here a near message, then we can say when they enter the near zone, we'll send them a message. Okay. But for our team, we loved iBeacons for 2 main reasons. They're extremely affordable. They're about $20 each a beacon. And they run on coin batteries that last up to 2 years. So they're extremely affordable, and they're really easy because they're 100% standalone. We can customize the cases however we want, and they're very easy to install and remove. And so for that fact, our team wanted to figure out a way to improve the iBeacon technology, so that we actually can install iBeacons in a room and say we know where you are in a precise location using iBeacons. And so our team spent a very long time, and what we have developed is something called sensor fusion. So using iBeacons, as well as a whole suite of other data that we collect, we are able to pinpoint a user's location inside a venue. And we do that through a method called sensor fusion, which basically takes the sensors of the phone. So your phone has various sensors attached to it. It's got an accelerometer, it's got a gyroscope, it's got a compass. It's also collecting GPS data. It can also detect various magnetic fields. It's got a whole range of different sensors within it. And we also use machine learning. So we also track, I guess we teach the system movements. So basically, combining all of those methodologies, we are able to pinpoint a user's location. We can convert the phone into a pedometer, and we are able to track various steps that people take. Our system can check to see where the iBeacon say the user is, and if it's off, it can correct it based on different data we collect. So instead of trying to build a system that relies 100% on iBeacons, we utilize all of the systems that are available to us. Our Android app is actually the most accurate because we can do instantaneous Wi-Fi fingerprinting as well. So we can combine Wi-Fi fingerprinting data as well as iBeacon data, GPS, and the sensors of the phone to get a very, very accurate position.
And so we're tracking the people who downloaded your app, right?
Yes.
There's no passive tracking, right? There's
no
way to like just track everybody with an iPhone. Or
and so
right?
there is, and this is.
Well, I'm just saying that's not what you're talking about.
No, this is definitely app specific. So iBeacons do not talk to the hardware of a phone. It only talks to an app. So you have to have an app on your phone that is tracking this stuff.
That is active.
No, iBeacons talk. The one cool thing that Apple has finally done is open up their platform to communicate even in the dark. So even when your phone is off, if the app is installed, it still will talk to the iBeacons as you move through the environment.
But not active.
It's still pinging while you're moving, yes.
So Apple, I thought last year told us, so what you're saying is that without an app, iBeacon is useless on the phone.
Without an app, iBeacon is useless.
Okay.
Apple products,
Right out of this room, tell us
Apple products themselves will probably be talking to iBeacons all the time. But anything that you guys wanted to do in terms of initiatives.
What we could have, which we have an option table, we have beacons, exhibits, and that's where the collection is stored. That's the data stored, and we pull that off that device. It's within an app, so we can. Thank you. Sorry, this is more of a short vision. Thank you.
And so for Apple itself, it requires to use iBeacons. It requires an app to be installed. There is a method that people have been using recently called wireless or Wi-Fi fingerprinting, because your phone is constantly pinging Wi-Fi routers. So if you think about it, when you open your phone, it'll just pop up little things saying, here are all the wireless networks nearby you can connect to. So right now, people have actually, while you walk into many, many retail stores, they're actually tracking you. Even when your phone is off, in your pocket or in your purse, you have no apps installed, they're still tracking you because your phone is pinging Wi-Fi routers as you walk through the venue.
It has a unique address. So
yeah, and your phone has a MAC address.
Somebody. They don't know who you are, but then the demographics through Google Analytics, it gets freaky.
Yeah, it gets freaky, but also because your phone has a MAC addresses are stored in, and so like Apple knows your MAC address. And so as you walk through, your MAC address is collected by every wireless router. So there is a lot of personalization with your MAC address. However, Apple has just announced that in iOS 8, they are eliminating fixed MAC addresses. So as you walk through an environment, your phone will be consistently changing its MAC address, so there is no more tracking with Apple. And they say the reason is for privacy, but you know, it's also because they want to push their iBeacon technology and not allow wireless Wi-Fi routers to be the method of tracking anymore. But so there's many, many companies out there who do indoor positioning right now using Wi-Fi, and this announcement from Apple is obviously quite shocking to the market because it does prevent randomized tracking. Now you actually have to install an app to be tracked in a private sense.
Well, so there are other solutions out there. So we've been presented with one that is an app and uses Bluetooth, and it collects information and downloads at the point of the device. And this is being developed by MIT Smart Labs.
For Apple or for Android?
Both. Agnostic.
And a private platform?
Yeah, it's developed by Smart Labs themselves. Yeah.
So there's no way that Apple would release any private information without the user agreeing to allow their information to be distributed.
I'm not sure what you're asking. All I know is that
Android, you can hack to do anything you want, but Apple, there's no Apple for you to connect to Bluetooth. So there's two types of Bluetooth technology. There's Bluetooth 3 and under, which requires you to pair with the Bluetooth device. And then there's Bluetooth 4, which is BLE, which requires zero pairing, and as you walk, your device is pinging those devices. The problem is, though, to be able to have a unique identifier to track the phone, you have to have an app, because Apple is randomizing their MAC address. So for you to walk through an environment, even if you collected the data via the beacon itself, the MAC address, which is the only unique identifier of the device, is randomized when it walks through an environment pinging various things in iOS 8.
So currently, the study that we're looking at is iOS 7 or earlier, and so that's possible.
It would be possible. But with iOS 8, it's eliminated all MAC address standardization. So you won't be able to do any randomization. You won't be able to capture without the user agreeing to it. But what this has allowed us to do using this technology is it means we can now develop what we call a smart storytelling platform. So because we don't just do something simple like, oh, we know you're here, so we're going to send you a push notification. We actually follow the user's movement, and we try to tailor what we call contextually relevant information based on the user's movement through an environment. So right off the bat, the iBeacon installation eliminates the need for visitors to have to process or scan anything, because the device now instantly knows where the user is. And using the compass feature, we also know which direction they're facing. So we know where they are and where they're facing. It also allows us to instantly deliver information, and it allows us to customize the user experience, and it allows us to deliver truly immersive experiences. And I'll go into a few case studies in a second that we're working on and have developed that highlights what I mean when I use these words. The other part of our platform is we have just released custom mapping and navigation. And one of the cool things about our mapping solution is that it's multiple platform. So it works on any type of mapping solution. So you can be using an Apple phone, an Android, Windows, web, and you can use this mapping solution to give internal directions. We overlay it and we match longitude and latitude points. So it's not platform specific. In other words, you don't have to send all your indoor data to Google Maps, Apple Maps, Bing, and have to manage all 3 internal mapping databases. You could upload it all to Stqry, and using our longitude and latitude markers, we can overlay that on any map that comes out that uses standard longitude and latitude. And I'll actually give a demo of mapping in a second. But what's really cool about this is it gives you turn-by-turn directions, just like GPS directions outdoors. You can select a starting location and an end location, or you can just say my current location, and it'll give you both visual and turn-by-turn directions.
And how many beacons are we talking about for your Fusion to work?
So in a room of this size, we would only need 2.
And that's with Wi-Fi fingerprinting also?
Only Android does Wi-Fi fingerprinting. Our Apple app does not.
Does not.
No, because again, the whole MAC address issue.
Where
So
would you place the beacons in this room?
we place one in each opposite corners. Yeah.
So you're really relying on the beacons pretty much exclusively for positioning?
No, then the sensors of the phone. So all of the sensors of the phone. That's actually more critical to us than the beacons.
Machine learning.
Yeah, and the machine learning, because it's constantly, what we do is we actually do something where we call checkpoints. So we place strategic beacons in a venue where we know someone is. So in like a particular long hallway, we'll stick it in an area where there's like a cone-shaped kind of signal. So we know someone is in a doorway or in a hallway. And then that was what we call a checkpoint. And then using machine learning, we can track movement. So based on how the sensors are telling someone is moving through the environment, we would guess when they hit another checkpoint. And we can use that type of information to, the system continually refines its results to the user. And so once we install our platform, we have a couple of our team basically move through the environment a little bit and set those checkpoints. And then basically as your visitors walk through the environment, the system is constantly refining itself. And we're the only indoor platform in the world that does that. All the other platforms, basically, the results you get when you test it right at install is the results you will get every time. Our system is constantly improving itself.
So it's like a network effect.
It's a network effect. So as visitors move through your environment, our results get even granular and granular. But the other thing that is really unique to our platform, and we've actually filed several patents on, is our content management system that actually allows you to manage your maps. So when you upload your maps to our system, you can pin all of your stories or objects on the map, and you can move those objects around, and you can easily manage your interior mapping on your own. So even all the other platforms out there like Google Indoors or Apple Maps, you have to send your maps to them. Their engineers have to fiddle with it, and then if you want to make any changes, you've got to go to them to make the changes. That's not a scalable solution, and that's also not a solution that most institutions would even be granted the opportunity to do.
Say that again? Sorry.
So for Google Maps or Apple Maps, for indoor mapping, you have to upload your floor plans to them.
That's not how we did it. They came here and mapped our space.
Or they come to you. So there's an online solution where you can send them your floor plans, or their team will come to you. But they won't come to you if you're a 10-person museum in the boondocks.
And they also suppose they won't certainly come again.
No.
They do it the first
Well,
time.
hopefully you're really going to change that.
Yeah.
But if you're moving your
objects.
around, changing exhibits.
Well, that's not what they map. They're mapping it's a map. It's not an exhibition map.
But so then for the user, how good is that actually? I mean, if you're a user and you go, I want to know where the T-Rex is. or I want to know.
It's about doors and walls and bathrooms. Wayfinding. It's wayfinding. It's not.
But real wayfinding is really about point of interest.
I mean,
So
that's part of the problem with the Apple thing is that they're like, send us your bathrooms, send us your entrances, and send us. You can have 3 special points of interest. Other than that,
yeah. And the reason for that is because all of those solutions require heavy manual work on their end. We have developed and filed these patents on a platform that allows you guys to make changes online as a group whenever you want in real time. You can pin as many objects, as many entrances, as many bathrooms as you want everywhere, and if one of your exhibits goes down, you just simply hit hide. Boom, it's off the map. You can rearrange it. You're changing a wall. You can just erase the wall and redraw the wall where it is. So it allows you to fully customize your maps in real time at any time. And again, it's in the beginning, we lay longitude and latitude markers or anchors, which then allow us to overlay it on any mapping platform in the world.
This app is also for tablets?
It's for the new version of mapping will be for Apple iPad, iPad minis, as well as Android tablets.
So right now it's only for iPhone, but the future version of yours.
Oh, it's for all smartphones. So it's for Android, iPhone, and Windows, but smartphones only. Yeah, the version that we'll be launching at the end of the year will be for tablets as well. And the other thing that our system does is the other competitors out there also require you to define your walking paths. So they say you have to say this line is the path that people have to walk. So they basically like you put pins on the map and then draw lines between the pins and say this is the path that you can walk. And again, that it takes forever to set up and very difficult to change. But also, if you have a big environment, what if the quickest route is going in a little curve shape and not in this massive straight angled line to one corner of the room and then to another? And so that was another big thing for us. We didn't want to define the walking patterns. So what we actually did is we hired several video game developers who worked with us to develop like AI type movement through an environment. So if you guys have ever played video games and you see one of the characters in the game, they don't bump into each other, they don't bump into walls, and they often run or move the fastest to whatever location you're running to for whatever mission. And so they've built this AI type environment for video games. Well, we said, why can't we do that in real life? So we apply the same type of methodologies that video games use to actually provide walking and mapping directions inside an environment. So you don't actually have to predefine your walking places that people can move. Our system does it automatically. It detects what are walls and then creates the shortest paths. It even has congestion control. So it even can say, this room has a school group of 150 kids. We're going to route you the other way because... And so, again, with the iBeacons.
So if you have other iBeacons in the room...
If anyone has the app installed.
Yeah, so that would require everyone, 200 people to have the app for it to know that.
Yeah, and one of the things we do also, though, is we have like teacher education versions. So like if there was a school group walking, the school group could have the phone, and then we know, oh, that's a school group phone there. Or if there's just tons of people and they all have the app on their phone, we know there's congestion there. We also have handicap routing. So when you pull up the device and say, take me from here to here, you have an option to say, give me an accessible route, and it will route you the fastest way for being in a wheelchair.
The only way for being in a wheelchair.
Yeah, the only way.
It's actually the opposite direction you want to go.
Yeah. And the other cool thing is it allows our tours, so if you do follow the traditional storytelling method of here's the highlight tour of all the places you need to see, instead of you just seeing a bunch of numbers and you now have to run around the venue trying to find where that next number is, it'll actually give you walking directions from stop to stop along that tour. So no more having to say, hunt the building for stop 1 and stop 2. You can actually get directions to each stop.
And how do you, if a stop is in another building or you're going outside, how do you deal with that?
So we handle multiple buildings and multiple floors. So if your buildings require you to actually progress across like traditional traffic, it actually converts to a Google or Apple Maps navigation to the next building and then re-enters our platform. If it's within your own grounds, you can upload a grounds map and identify where the buildings are on the grounds, and it will take you from building to building.
So when you're talking about storytelling, I guess I'm interested from a content point of view and what more specifically what you're talking about. So I know you haven't kind of gotten into the case studies, but I'm so eager to hear more about the content that you're providing to visitors. So obviously there's mapping and orientation and wayfinding, but sort of at a deeper sort of interpretive and engagement level, what experiences are you offering visitors in addition to whatever content they're encountering in the feed?
So the content management system that we've built actually allows you to curate whatever type of storytelling aspects you want. So you can add video and images, 3D models. We actually have a OpenGL type viewer where you can play with 3D models, augmented reality, and various things to tell your stories and engage your visitors through content within the app. We can also plug into your content management systems and actually extract content so you don't actually have to update it in 2 locations. But I'll get into case studies to show you a little bit more, and I'll also go through a quick demo of the app so you can see how our content delivery works.
So the AR is working also off the sensor fusion?
Well, we have 2 forms of AR, and I can get into that. But we have image recognition AR as well as location-based AR. But the other really cool thing is because we track how people move through the environment, we're able to create automated tours. So imagine walking into the venue. You've been to, say, the American History Museum 20 times, and it's your favorite museum ever. And you walk in, and it says, you walk in, you receive a push notification. Welcome back, Chris. We know you've been here a lot. We know this is your favorite. You give them a nice, personalized, tailored message. But then you pop up and say, how about you take a tour today to see all the places that you have never been in the museum? And because we've tracked them and we know how they move, we can create an automatic tour of all the places they've never visited before. And they can actually go and experience the different places or the different objects that they've never seen. And this is where it's talking about getting more granular and immersive, because we don't just deliver at the moment content. We really try to understand the visitor, understand and track and analyze so that we can give them unique experiences every time they come. And again, our most important feature, and from everything we develop, even our mapping, we're always constantly thinking about accessibility. So we work through smart signage. We have an incredible team that works through how you place signage in a building. Our app itself also instantly translates content in over 60 different languages. We actually have a commercial translation partner that when you input content into our platform, it gets sent off to them. And they actually have an incredible model where they crowdsource translation, and it then gets sent back to our platform, translated into over 60 different languages.
Who that firm is?
Offline. I can go through it with you. And we also are developing our app to be blind and visually impaired friendly, meaning there is a mode, and Apple is actually the best platform in the world for the visually impaired because they have an incredible product called VoiceOver. And you can turn any iPhone into VoiceOver mode, which basically allows someone to navigate all through voice. The phone speaks to them as they tap the screen. And it's actually incredible. We've worked with several people who are fully blind, and they are just amazing how they move and interact with apps. They can hear at 900 words per minute, and they're tapping the screen and swiping, and it's insane what they can do. But the problem is developers these days are not thinking about the real challenges that people that are blind have. And one of the biggest is when you thread an application, it is very difficult for someone who's visually impaired. And by threading, I mean here's a home page, here's my collections, here's a collection, here's a room, here's a hallway, here's an object, here's a story, here's a video. You've now threaded 100 pages. For us, it's easy because we can see the back button and we can go da 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 back up. But for someone who's blind, they don't have that type of visual sense of where everything is. And so they have to touch the screen and listen to every single button and every single action. And so when you thread applications, it becomes very difficult for someone who's blind to have a immersive or even a friendly experience while they're engaging with your content. So what we do is we have two types of layouts. We have one layout for when VoiceOver is not on and for the very friendly visual navigation, but then we also have a special mode that is instantly converted when VoiceOver is on that allows for very easy content. It's more of a scroll mode because scrolling is easy for them, and instead of having to tap into things, they can just hold buttons and they can hear the thread of content by just holding a button, and then when they let go, they're still back on the main page. So they don't have to keep tapping and figuring things out. So we've really spent a lot of time trying to build a platform that really makes accessing your content accessible, no matter their language or their difficulties in life. So now I'll get through some case studies. One really exciting project we're working on is the Baltimore Museum of Art's 100th anniversary. And so for this project, we're doing a crowdsource kind of collection of past stories. So people are able to record their experiences over the last 100 years at the BMA, but then they're also able to talk about their what their future ideas and plans are for the BMA the next 100 years. And so when someone from the app, they can tap record. They can record that experience or commentary, and then the next mode, they take a selfie, and then they hit save. And what we do is we do two things with that. We save it and we pinpoint it. So we know exactly where that voice was saved. So this idea was actually inspired by an incredible artist named Halsey, who created this platform called Roundware. And I know he's actually done something for the Smithsonian. And he's done it outside in an outdoor environment where it collects crowdsourced audio using GPS. And we met with him and we learned a lot from him. And one of the aspects that we've extended our platform to actually pinpoint your indoor location. So we are now able to create immersive indoor sound experiences. So when someone records their story, we know where in the venue they recorded their story. And so one of the modes is you can hit soundtrack mode, and you can just plug your earphones in, walk around the venue, and hear people's stories. And it's the story that was told right in that spot in the building that they said it. So you can walk around the building and hear people's stories, and at that moment, when they were inspired to tell the story is when it'll play to you. So as you move through the environment.
So it's not using Roundware, though? It's
not using Roundware, no. But we got a lot of our inspiration from Roundware.
Incorporated those ideas into
the
platform.
Exactly. And then also we have mosaic mode. So you can then tap view stories, and it'll show you a whole mosaic of all of the selfies that were taken. And then you can tap on one, and it'll pull up the audio of that person's story. We're also building big live screens in their ticket booth. So they're going through a massive renovation right now, and when they open back up, they're going to have these big screens behind their ticket desk or their info desk, because it's a free museum. But basically it will, say that it's a free museum, talk about how becoming a member, but we're also going to make those screens really interactive. And so one of the screens will show all the mosaics as people are taking selfies. One of the screens will actually have a little floor plan, and it'll show you heat maps of where everyone is in the venue. And we're also going to create a couple screens that, we're still toying with the ideas, but where the phone can interact, because we know when people are up to the info desk and could even say quirky things like, "Hello, Chris, this is your 10th time, welcome back," or whatever. So it really unlocks the possibility of being able to engage your visitors on a whole new level. Instead of it being a static experience, it's now this fully integrated experience, and it really understands the visitor and their wants and their ways they interact.
And all those bells and whistles that you just outlined require the app to be able to use with hand?
It doesn't require it to be in their hand. It just requires the app to be installed.
It has to be in the box.
Has to just be installed on the device. But one of the great things about Stqry is we're starting to build massive communities. We have over 300 museums on the platform, and we've just started launching in the East Coast. We're working with several large museums in Philadelphia, in Baltimore, in New York, and we have a ton on the West Coast. So we work with like MoCA, Seattle Art Museum. We're working with a lot of airports. And so every time someone downloads the app at one of those museums, the power of what Stqry can do is available to all the other museums that person visits. And that's the great thing about this community app, is that if every single museum in the world launched their own app, then you lose some of the amazing ability to collaborate and to connect with visitors. So one of the case studies that we've done in San Francisco, which was amazing to see how it actually transformed, is we work with the Asian Art Museum in San Francisco, and we also work with the Walt Disney Museum. And so they both had a really crazy connection. There was the Tyrus Wong exhibit, which was at the Walt Disney Museum. He was one of the concept artists for Bambi. And then there was the Asian Art Museum, who had a Sung Dynasty collection. And there was actually a significant connection there because Tyrus got some of his inspiration from the Sung Dynasty. So they actually, in the app itself, you can link and create content with other museums. So they linked their content together. So when people went to the Asian Art Museum, they could learn about that connection, click, and get taken to the Walt Disney's content, and then how to go there and visit after they're done with the Asian Art Museum, and vice versa with the Walt Disney Museum. So it actually drove people to each other's venue in this incredible collaborative way that was never possible before, because everyone was doing their own initiatives instead of working together in this really amazing cultural ecosystem.
Can you quickly talk about the size of the app and what's in the app when I download it?
Yeah, so the app is very lightweight. It's only 5 megabytes, and content is streamed in real time to the phone. We do have something called offline mode, which allows you to take you can create groups of content, and then people can download those groups of content in offline mode, which means that they can then deliver it without a connection. So, you know,
you can download it and then look at it.
And then look at it in offline mode. So instead of, I won't use names, but there's some apps out there that are like 200 megabytes or 300 megabytes to download.
What's ours? 200 megabytes?
He's not naming names.
Not naming names. And so the fact of the matter is that literally the visitor is only going to interact, even if they're an avid visitor. You have such a massive collection, 1% maybe of the actual collection when they're walking through the exhibit. So why do they need to download 100% of the content? It's a huge barrier. And so what we've created is what we call offline mode. So the app is very lightweight. It's only 5, I think the new app's going to be around 7 megabytes. So it's instantaneous download. And then when you walk around, you can stream that content in real time. Or you can say, I want this exhibit, or I want this particular museum, download the content just for that museum. You also can personalize your offline download. So you can say, I just want to download text content, or I just want to download text and images, or I'm feeling really, nifty today. I want to download all the videos and audio and images and everything.
So it requires a consistent, strong Wi-Fi connection, which is why ours is 200 megabytes, because we don't have that. So that's
for the streaming mode. But with offline, you can download all the museum's content right there. So instead of having to download 200 megabytes, which is every single museum's content, if you're only visiting one of the museums, you could just download that particular museum's content, or just that particular exhibit you're visiting's content. And the other thing our app does, which is really smart, it purges your downloaded content after a set period of time. So instead of it storing it there and taking up room, which, again, not naming names, and it's not just you guys, there are many apps that are really big, and then my phone is having trouble. I click, what are the biggest apps, and I immediately uninstall them. And if your app is that big, it's going to be one of the ones installed, because I'm not there anymore. I don't need it. And so with Stqry, we instantly purge, or not instantly, but after about 48 hours, we purge the content if it's not used. And so then that means for the user, it's not taking up space on their phone. It's only on their phone when they need it and they want it. And then even after it's purged, they can still stream it again. So they can still view it at any time.
Chris, we have 10 minutes left, and I think between, I mean, we have 6 hours more of questions and ideas. How, to finish, you're dead, but how do we invite you back? How do we understand more about your product?
I mean, we can keep conversations over the time. I mean, I'm also here. I'm here all day today and all day tomorrow, and I have no more meetings. So I can definitely meet or continue talking with any of you guys anytime today or tomorrow.
But what you were mentioning it is still really, really important. If we were using Stqry at Smithsonian, we'd have to have, it would be difficult with the click-through agreement, Wi-Fi, that'd be a barrier, and we have.
Yeah.
There would have to be really robust Wi-Fi throughout to have that visitor experience, and it would have to be, for lots and lots of people.
And we have actually some really good case studies of how to solve that. So, like with one of our customers, we work with Department of Conservation in New Zealand, and they're the government organization that handles all the Great Walks. So if you have seen the Lord of the Rings movies, those are actually the Great Walks of New Zealand, those incredible sites that you see in the movies. And so we do the app for all those trails, but of course there's no 3G or 4G or Wi-Fi out there. So the solution we've developed is that the ranger stations, they only have to install robust internet in one room, and then it is promoted to the visitor to download the content at that spot.
Is there robust Wi-Fi there?
Right,
yeah, and the best part is these do not require internet connection. So we can still do wayfinding and positioning with zero connectivity.
And outdoor?
Outdoor. So the next slide.
Do you have institutions that are distributing apps, devices with Stqry on it?
Absolutely. So like the Walt Disney Museum in San Francisco, they have iPods, the iPod touches that they hand out.
And that can have all the local content on it.
Can have all the local content. It doesn't have anything, no streaming required.
You can solve distribution.
And it actually, it also, because we have this whole analytics package where you can see how people have engaged, it actually stores, it doesn't, like, if there's no connection, it doesn't collect it. It backlogs all the data, and as soon as there's a connection made, it uploads the data. So you still get full data, even in low connectivity-ish situations.
So how are museums marketing this to their visitors? Is it at the ticket?
Yeah, at the ticketing counter.
Does it exist for Smithsonian?
Well, that's one of our.
Yeah.
I feel less threatened with the marketing question now that we have senior eyes on marketing at Smithsonian. We have some money coming forward for marketing, so I feel like we can solve the marketing question. My big question: what's your business model?
So we charge the institutions an annual subscription, but the price will shock you. I mean, for traditional interpretation without the indoor aspect, it's only $1,000 a year. With the indoor tracking and everything, it's only $10,000 per year.
That would be, so that's for a museum that's only one, but for us, even we're 19, is that still too?
No, we would.
Yeah.
we would work out fully customized. So I've just got 2 more slides. I'll run through them real fast because of time. But to answer that immediate question, yes, we've done outdoor installations. In fact, this week, right now, we're doing an amazing festival in New Zealand called Light Nelson, where Nelson's one of the most magnificent botanical gardens in the world. And at night, or during the day, they've installed 42 light installations. So like one of them is this big bridge where they have all these waterfall lights that go over the bridge, and you walk through it with like an umbrella, and the footage of it's just incredible. But the biggest problem that they've had in previous years is there's no way to do interpretation because it's nighttime. So you can't read signs or anything. And so what we've done is we've installed iBeacons in all around this park. So as you walk through the park, your phone knows where you are and is delivering content to you about the different installations.
So we have 27 outdoor visitor kiosks or pylons around just to our buildings, and we want to embed these as well as Wi-Fi and solar power into these.
Oh, that's so cool.
Are you a kind of partner that would help integrate that, or just provide the CMS?
No, we do full installation. So we actually go out and help our customers with that.
So where are you guys based?
Our main office is in Seattle, and we're opening an office in the East Coast in the next few months.
And so for the outdoor installation, how do the iBeacons work? I mean, how do you define the space?
Well,
it's not triangulation, but for your futures.
Medium for really far away.
Yeah. Well, but for these we just did proximity.
Okay,
so for outdoors, we don't need because it's not talking about like an indoor environment where there's like 10 objects on a wall. It's one massive site.
And we want to have visitors walk by the pylon from Griffin, Indian and be pinged about Griffin, Indian. This is not an arid space.
So they have to have the app. Or
You have,
they do.
Well, for this solution, there are other solutions, but yeah.
We're just curious, we always talk about we don't ticket, but I mean, is there any museum that has more than one entrance, excuse me, more than two entrances other than the zoo? Even the zoo just has two real entrances.
No, Zoom has.
No, it's big.
Once you drive in, sorry. But other than the zoo, the American Museum has one entrance. The reality is.
No, that's what it is.
well, we have two now.
Well, yeah, okay, but isn't it more will than it is that we don't ticket, whether or not we can let people know we have something?
But there isn't a place to funnel them. So even at natural history, once they come in the mall side, where they fan out in 1,000 directions.
Yeah, what's your?
So I mean, there is a portal.
Yeah.
But they don't have to stop at a desk.
The only thing they have to do is go through.
There's no turnstile.
The security.
There's no turnstile.
That's the only thing they
They have to go to security.
And we discussed a little off topic. We discussed turnstiles with OPS because we want them to count.
Sure.
And there's a fire egress kind of BS thing. So.
Are the museums in distributing this, when they sell a ticket, are they telling everybody who gets a ticket, here's our app, or is that just something that's...
No, it's definitely it's definitely promoted. Well, it depends. I mean, we have some museums that are less active in terms of marketing, and we have some that are amazingly active, and those ones typically do it right at ticketing. But the other cool thing about the app is because it's lightweight and it does stream, you are able to promote it anywhere in the venue. So you can promote it at an exhibit, for example, a really popular exhibit, and people are able to download it right on the spot and still have a great experience. Or 4G. I mean, the app is designed to work on 4G. So quick digress, but like if an image is uploaded to our platform, we actually encourage really high resolution images because we have a smart system that actually creates 10 versions of every image, and because all the apps are native, we know what type of phone you're using, what type of connection you have, if you're international or a local SIM card, and we deliver a tailored experience to your device based on your particular platform. So if you're walking around, you have an iPhone 5, you're 4G, you're on Verizon, you're good to go. We can give you great content and you're going to have a fast experience. But if you're visiting from Germany and you have an iPhone 4, we're going to deliver you slightly lower res images. You can change it in your settings to get the higher res, but by default, we're going to deliver you slightly lower so you get a fast, great experience as you move through.
This is at least the fourth, maybe the fifth device-side decision that the app is making.
Yeah.
What about response time?
Well, so that's the great thing about working on a collective platform versus a bespoke solution, is we're part of all of those development platforms. So if maybe you guys don't know this, but the iPhone 6 is a bigger screen again, much bigger screen. And traditionally, no one knows that until the Apple phone is released. But because we're in a developer program, we get the information months before. And so we can develop to release our app to support the new things before they even come out. And the way we work is because we work on a subscription model, it forces us to provide an incredible experience. Because instead of charging you guys $300,000 up front, and if we disappear or whatever happens, you guys are out all this money, you have no way to support or maintain your platform, we charge you smaller increments of money over a period of time at that no locked-in contract, and you can walk away, which forces us to constantly deliver a great experience. Because if the new Apple phone comes out and we don't update it, you just be like, well, goodbye story, we can go do something else. And so it forces us to stay honest, and it protects you guys and your revenue and your money.
There's still going to be, even if you go to another app provider, there's generally a contract. Because you don't want to not have a contract, you're going to have an app that's not compatible with devices within a year. So it's still part of it. So it's true.
And it's all part of our SLA and everything that we put in.
So if we worked with you, if we were to work with you, there's a yearly fee, but obviously there's a fee to develop the app too, right?
Well, it depends. It really depends because the platform is designed to be 100% do-it-yourself. So you can actually not pay us anything and do it 100% yourself.
So we have access to the CMS and there's templates and
you can upload and design it however you want.
And then we go to you to customize it, or you go to a third party to customize it?
You could even go to a third party. Or you could work with a content creator to do it for you. We have those services, so we do it for you, and we'll probably propose that we do it to help. But the great thing is that you could work with us to get going, and then you could say, oh, we have this incredible in-house team or whatever, and we want to work with you.
It's not open source, is it?
It's not open source, no.
And then,
But you have access to the CMS, so it's not like you have to send Chris every image. You have to set it up.
Exactly.
and that's a big question. So I downloaded the app, I copy and play with it. And one thing that we were pretty, I think, big on our own brand, and we would be.
So we're launching a whole brand new app, and so I know we're crunched on time, but I am here today and tomorrow, and anytime I'd love to show you guys our new app because it's vastly different to the one that you have just downloaded, and it launches in 6 weeks.
Allow us
Total customization of
our brand colors and our brand
your
elements.
colors, your brand elements, font style, font color, and I want to show you. I'd love to show you our new app. But the very last is our last slide and case study. But this one is actually my most passionate project to work on to date. We've actually worked with this incredible foundation. It's a massive foundation in Seattle, where they work with some really great projects overseas. And one of them is mosquito issues and running water bathroom issues. And they have like a little museum where they talk about these initiatives that they're doing. One of the challenges that they had was how do you make that really engaging and immersive so that the visitor truly can learn and experience what it's like over there. So using our technology, what we've done is we've built a part sound, part audio tour that morphs itself based on how you move through the environment. So you put your phone in your pocket, put in your headphones, and you just walk. And so you start walking towards a mosquito exhibit, and you slowly start hearing mosquitoes come louder in your ear. And then as you get closer, you hear kids running. As soon as you get right up to the exhibit, your phone vibrates twice like a kid is tapping you, and it says, Mr., Mr., and then he starts talking to you about his problems. But then you can go, okay, I want to go check out. No, you start walking, and his voice will fade away, and then he'll go, bye, and then you start moving, and then you get closer to the water exhibit, and the water you hear start rushing in. And so it turns the entire visitor experience from that traditional clicking methodology of learning to this whole new immersive, like, wow, I'm in this environment and I'm learning, how I want to learn because I don't have to trigger anything and I can just move how I move naturally. I might be really slow walking through exhibits. I might be really fast at walking through exhibits. And either way, I'm going to get an incredible experience because it's set part sound, part voice, and you can also have it where it's up, and it can be video and images that transition as you move through as well.
And where is this?
This is at a foundation in Seattle.
Seattle. Yeah.
So, yeah, that's my quick presentation.
Chris, hi, thank you. I'm Samir.
Hi, Chris.
And I direct Smithsonian's Office of Visitor Experience. So all the things you're talking about, we're looking to solve.
Here's the card.
So,
Here you guys go. I'll walk down.
Oh,
Yeah,
well,
like she's doing
so you want to show us
some
new ad?
Yeah.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, so
Yes,
that's
it's more of We're just talking about how people use sounds and color.
No.
What,
Oh,
how far can
I-
you
I see
go?
nothing. Someone at Aaron Space.
Yeah. Do the stuff.
In touch with you. Thank you.
Great audio.
Well, do you want to show? I'm not sure if
No,
there's
it's not.
somebody else.